good morning! How are you
Hey
doing
Ray,
today? Kumusta ka naman?
I'm doing good. And you?
I'm feeling good today. But anyway, yes, thank you so
Yes,
much
yes.
for coming on to my channel to talk about your career and your experiences. I'm sure you can share a lot of things to our viewers and listeners out there. But before that, of course, let's talk a little bit about your background and how you started. Bring us back to your early beginnings. How and when did you start in the BPO industry?
Oh wow, that is so nostalgic. I started my career way back 2007. After I graduated, I started a career in the BPO industry, and I went to Cebu where we get to know each other and work together under
At,
one BPO
yeah.
company. And then that's the first career that I had after graduation. So at first, I really don't have any idea of the industry of the BPO industry, and it was a struggle. It was a challenge for me at the time because I don't know. I am new to the
Mm.
environment. I'm new to Cebu, and I'm new to the industry as well. So it was really challenging for me given the language barrier and the culture of the BPO industry. But I didn't allow myself to struggle that much. So I strive hard to learn the dynamics of the BPO industry, get to know the people around me, and get the hang of everything. And I enjoyed my life in Cebu, and now I'm very happy with my experiences and what I've learned before because I'm still, applying them to where I am
Yeah, that's absolutely
now.
amazing. So, to those who are watching, AJ and I really go a long, long way. We've started
Very.
like working with each other, and of course, we've been friends since
Hmm.
2009. And I was like 20 years
Right.
old back then. And I'm
And I
so
was like
happy that
19
right
at that
now we're
time.
talking about more serious stuff. You're younger than me. But anyway, yeah, so I'm so happy that we're talking about more like mature and professional stuff aside from,
Yeah.
just being talking about the laid back stuff. And I know
Hmm.
that that time we were happy go lucky because we were young
Hmm.
and we were just having
Indeed.
fun, I would say, right? We did not really think about the future yet,
Hmm.
but I would say like it was a fun time.
It
And yeah, I'm so
was.
happy to have you here today.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, AJ, you worked in that company we were both in for,
Mhm.
I believe, about, was it 2 years or 3 years?
I think that was 2 years that we've been working together.
Mm.
Imagine.
Yeah, so that was also quite a long time. Yeah, but
Hmm.
after that, after Cebu, when you resigned, you left us. I remember you like gave us those boxes with the
Hmm.
memorabilia in it, and it was such an emotional time because
Uh-huh.
we don't really, yeah, we didn't really know what will happen next. We're just like we're there working. So after Cebu, where did you go? What happened
Wow,
next?
I went to several places. After Cebu, I went to Bacolod, and then
Mm.
I stayed with my family, and at the same time work in one of the BPO companies as well in Bacolod. And then eventually, I went to Manila. I work in a bank. I work in the recruitment
Mm.
company, and then went back to Bacolod, and then now I am in Iloilo, and I'm still working with another
Mm.
BPO company, which is Transcom.
You've been in so many different companies, and I know that that also adds to your experience as a
Hmm.
sourcing manager right now. And
Hmm.
before that, I know you also tried your hand at being a recruitment specialist and then a recruitment manager. So coming from like a telephone banker position, like we're both of us, we started
Hmm.
that way. What inspired you to pursue a career in the recruitment or sourcing industry? Is this something that you planned beforehand, or did it just happen naturally?
No, actually, I set a goal to myself that someday I wanted to be part of human resources
Mm.
department. So let me take you back to my Cebu employment. where we were before.
Yeah.
It was only me who,
Yes.
who volunteered in the HR department to do some
Yeah.
recruitment activities with them. So I kept it to
That's
myself. I
amazing.
didn't
Yeah.
share I didn't share it with anyone. So it was like an internship
Yeah.
program given by the company. I was exposed to
Mm.
different recruitment activities at that time, and I used to do call outs
Mm.
with the applicants, invite them to apply, and then after my internship program, um, uh, nothing happens after that one. But when I was in Manila,
Mm.
I applied for a recruitment company in Manila where I started my career in recruitment, and until now, I am still in the recruitment department
Mm.
or the recruitment industry rather.
That's amazing. Yeah. I did not even know that you had a sort of internship back in that back in the days, but that was nice that you had that
Mhm.
because you're already planning ahead. And without us knowing, I think it's just like a matter of like learning while you're there, even if it's for free, doing something that
Exactly.
would like develop your skills towards a career that you want in the future. And I really like
Right.
that. So you said like, you used to be a recruitment manager before
Mhm.
you became a sourcing manager now. And you also did a lot of interviews as well. So what would you
Yes.
say are the usual or common red flags in an applicant?
Well, very common red flags are employment gaps. It's totally understandable that we do
Mm-hmm.
have applicants that had a very long employment gaps, and that's one concern that we are going to
Mm.
that we are really looking into because we don't know what really happened between those gaps. But it's subjective. It all depends on the
Mm.
recruiter if they're going to consider the reasons for the employment gap and stuff like that. And also performance. Performance matters because although during the interview,
Mm.
some questions, some behavioral questions are being asked to the applicants, and that's how we recruiters gauge the performance and the behavior of the applicant. And we also have this
Mm.
um, attitude measurements, or I mean we measure the attitude and professionalism of the individual or of the applicant, and it is how they answer
Mm.
the questions and how they deal with a certain problem, how they organize things. Those soft skills are the things that we consider. However, there
Mm.
are some applicants that doesn't know how to answer it well. That's the reason why it's a kind of red flag to us as well. And then the tenure, lastly, the
Mm.
tenure of the applicants
Tenure.
in their employment. We don't know that some of them only stayed for 6 months, for 2 months, for whatever reasons, but that gives us an
Mm.
impression of a possible attrition someday.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Everything that you said truly makes sense. So let me go back to the first one, which is the employment gap. I know, like, we both know times have changed, especially in the pandemic. And a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, for example, like, they are very proud of their employment gap. And a lot of people are saying it's about time that we celebrate that employment gap because we have to like take a break in between. So what are your
Mhm.
thoughts about that? Like, is it truly bad to have that employment gap, and how does it work for you that if I have a long employment gap, am I not employable or hireable anymore? How do you go about that?
No, that doesn't mean that you're not hireable anymore. Again, it's subjective. It depends on the reasons of your employment gap. If it is too
Mm.
personal and it's a matter of mental health issues, then definitely we can consider it. However,
Mm.
if whatever reasons that may not be valid, for the recruiter, that's the reason why we do not consider them.
Yeah.
We do consider reasons like they need to go on vacation to relax, but if the employment
Mm-hmm.
gap is 2 years already, and you went on vacation for 2 years, then
Mm.
that's a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
sketchy for us. So that's one thing that we're going to consider. And
Yeah.
yeah, again, it depends on the reasons of the applicants and their employment gap.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, if those who are watching, it's not an excuse for you to say just I went on vacation or whatnot, because recruiters are trained to understand and to really like
Mhm,
read between the lines. So they will
mhm,
know if you're lying, body language and things like that. Like
mhm.
everything will just add up at the end of the day. So
Right.
just because, like AJ said, employment gap, it's acceptable as long as you have a valid reason. That's not a reason for you to just like come up with an excuse. And in relation to that, AJ, I have a lot of viewers who are asking like, what if I was not able to resign properly from my previous company, or some of them went on AWOL or absence without official leave? Can they still be hired, or would you know if this person actually went on AWOL in the previous company and you would say that, okay, we can't hire you anymore because of the reason you left your
Mhm,
other company? How does that work? And like,
mhm.
is there hope for those applicants?
Yeah, there's still hope for every applicant who did not properly resign with their previous company, as long as they are going to
Mm,
inform the recruiter of what happened during their employment with that company, and they would be very honest
mm,
to say that they went on AWOL and that one, then that can be considered. However, if if a
yeah.
company has this background check and it was proven that you went on AWOL or
Mm,
you were terminated, then it's possible that they may not consider you for the role. That's the reason why it's you always have, as an applicant,
mm,
you always have to be very honest with your answers. Although you may think that it's
yes.
something negative or might affect your employment, but then again, honesty is
Mm-hmm.
always the key to for to a successful application. You just have to uh, tell what really happened
Mm-hmm.
and provide the reasons, and recruiters would totally understand it. Recruiters are also human. We've been we've been same shoes with them before.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've been hopping to different
Yeah.
companies as well, so we would know the reasons, the
Mm.
validity of your reasons, and we would understand it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that question really comes up a lot in a lot of my
Mhm.
videos. And you heard that here from a recruitment manager slash sourcing manager. Everyone, I also preach that. Just be honest, because it will ruin your reputation if they do a background check and you actually lied just to get in that company. And besides, it's not good to start your application or your employment in a company by lying, right? So you're not going to get
Exactly.
anything from that.
Mhm.
So at least,
Correct.
yeah, there's hope. As long as you explain
There is.
properly, people make mistakes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. So you also like review, you review so many resumes on a daily basis when you
Yeah,
were a
right.
recruitment manager, and even now probably when that you're already a sourcing manager. So at this point that you have a lot of applicants, do you think resumes still matter? And how do you spot a good resume versus a bad resume? How does that work
Mhm.
for you?
Well, good question, because nowadays people tend to, or applicant tends to just submit whatever resumes that they have, and for them it's just a reference with the
Mm-hmm.
recruiters to check what was written or their employment history. But if you are really serious with your application, then definitely you will take time to prepare your
Mm-hmm.
resume, make it as presentable as it is, make it organized, and provide all the job
Mm-hmm.
descriptions that you had with your previous role. Be
Mm-hmm.
more specific with the dates so that we can identify how long have you been working, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be organized. It needs to be presentable, and make sure that it's clean because there are some resumes that was given
Mm-hmm.
that are stained, or
Yeah.
crumpled rather.
Or
So
updated.
yeah, outdated. It's very
Mm.
common, very outdated. And then they're just gonna tell us that they forgot to update it. Okay, so you want us to update it for you or what? So yeah, it needs to be updated. It needs to be neat
Yeah.
and presentable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel you right there because even though I'm not a or a recruitment manager, I've done my fair share of hiring people
Mhm,
for several different clients. And when I ask for resume, some of the resumes are really very hard to read in a way that the
mhm,
formatting is all over the place. So
mhm.
that's why I think the past few months I've been telling my viewers or my followers on Facebook to make sure that their resumes are also presentable. Make it a
Sure.
PDF just so the words and everything, the formatting is already intact.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that's really a good tip that you said. It should be clean and presentable because it's the first impression. It's your first like contact with the company, right? Now, how
Right.
about a
Mhm.
CV or a curriculum vitae? It's a more detailed explanation of your work experience, but say for entry level, is it still necessary or required? And when do you require that from your applicants?
Well, for me as a recruitment manager before, for entry level position, resume will suffice. However, for high ranking
Mm,
positions like managers and above, then definitely a CV would be
mm,
applicable because that's where we see all the project management that was handled and all the details or intricate details of the
mm.
position that the applicant had.
Okay, perfect. And while I have you here, I might have forgotten to ask previously, do you
Mm.
prefer a certain format of a resume, or is it okay if it's like just a generic format as long as all the information and the details that you need are there?
Other resume, like what I mentioned, is very important, but it doesn't really follow an exact format.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we can
Mm-hmm.
read it
Yeah.
well, it was positioned
Yeah.
well, it was created very well and neatly, then
Mm-hmm.
that's fine for me. As long as
Mm-hmm.
when I accept the resume, everything is in there, the employment history,
Mm-hmm.
um, some of the details that you wanted to tell the recruiters are in there, then definitely I'm fine with it.
And one last thing about resume,
Mhm.
do they need to put their picture? Do you require that?
Yes.
Is it necessary?
Yes. It is. It is. It is
Okay.
necessary. It is necessary to put a picture in your resume. Although it's a classic example, but
Mm-hmm.
then again, it's very effective because
Mm-hmm.
it
Okay.
makes us be familiar of who you are. And let's say for example you have a very difficult name
Yeah.
to pronounce, so we'll just have to look at your resume with your picture and then look at
Mm-hmm.
you where you are there in the waiting room and then just call you. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
just a minor thing though, but yeah, picture is really very important because
Oh, yeah.
that's
I
where
think that's
you
very
you're
helpful.
so professional.
Very important that you mentioned that because some people may think that why do you need my picture? I'm not applying to be a
Mm.
model or to be a receptionist. So everyone, that's not meant to judge you. But like what
Yeah.
AJ said, if you are like going for an interview in an office or an actual recruitment site, it will be easier to spot you. And
Hmm.
it's like putting a face to the name. So imagining that, okay, this is the person I'm interviewing, so at least you get to know the person even before you speak to that person.
Exactly.
And I think
Mhm.
that makes sense. That super makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. So we're done with the resume talk. Of course, after the resume, if this person is qualified, you go to the interview portion, the Q&A portion, right? You've done a
Yep.
lot of interviews before. I've also done quite, a lot of interviews before. But for
Hmm.
you, what are your top 3 to 5 interview tips for applicants?
Hmm. The first thing that I suggest is be prepared because you don't know what's gonna happen during the interview.
Mm-hmm.
It's a given for starters. They would have this set of questions already
Yeah.
prepared. That they are memorizing all the answers
Mm.
to that questions. But then
Yes.
there are some recruiters who might be asking you with out of the blue questions. So you really have to be very prepared of whatever
Yeah.
things that might be asked to you. Second is be confident. Be confident
Mm.
by not faking it. I am not a believer of fake it till you make it
Mm.
because obviously if you fall for a
Yeah.
recruiter who's very intricate in asking questions, then they would definitely identify, they would know that you're faking it. So be confident, get to know your
Mm-hmm.
employment history, study your employment history, and be familiar with the dates, so that
Mm-hmm.
it would be easy for you to explain your employment history, and at the same time recall your previous position so that you would know what are the things that you
Yeah.
were doing before, if ever they will be asking you some details of your previous role. Now, third is be
Mm.
presentable because first impression lasts, and
Yeah.
take time to fix yourself, to groom well, and and be
Yeah.
prepared for your interview. Don't just go there being exhausted, being tired, or whatnot. Apply a few
Mm.
foundation to your face, and fix yourself first before you go to the interview. And then fourth is get to know the company that you are working with, because recruiters
Mm.
may be asking you, what do you know about the company, and that way you have answers to that one.
Yeah.
There are some applicants that answer is something like it's one of the biggest BPO companies in wherever they are, or it's one of the fastest growing BPO companies. Those
Mm.
are generic answers, but if you really get to know the vision, the mission, and the
Yeah.
culture of the company, it's a plus points for you because you took time to really look into the
Mm.
details of the company, explore what the company has to offer, the background, the history of the company, and you will be able to provide a lot of
Mm.
details about that one. That gives us, especially me as a recruitment manager, that would give me an impression that you really took time
Mm.
to study and to review and see what our company is all about. And fifth is be respectful to the recruiter, be
Mm.
courteous as well, and some applicants may feel intimidated with the questions that the recruiters are asking them, but
Mm.
you just need to be courteous with whatever the attitude of the recruiter is, and answer them properly, answer them well,
Mm.
and communicate professionally. So those are the five tips that I could
Mm.
provide for applicants.
I think that those things are, although the essentials that you need to have
Hmm.
before going on an interview, a lot of people still forget, and a lot of people still don't make an effort just because.
Hmm.
But especially when you are new to the industry, you have to like put your best foot forward, and like you
Hmm.
said, be
Great.
presentable. We know that you probably have applied for 5 different companies before the actual interview, so you might be exhausted and tired with the commute and everything. But
Hmm.
take some time to go to the restroom and fix yourself, like AJ said. First
Hmm.
impressions last, and it really does make a huge difference. Thank you
Correct.
for sharing those tips, AJ. After the interview, the $1 million question is, when do I hear from you? Like, how will I know if I'm hired or not? Because a lot of my viewers would ask, like, I haven't heard from the recruiter for 5 days now. How long do I have to wait until like I can say I'll have to move on, look for a different like job? What do
um,
you what do
mhm.
you usually do? Yeah.
um, Yeah, it's also very common. In fact, even I experienced that that the recruiter
Mm-hmm.
didn't provide me any feedback at all if whatever the movement of my application is. But as a recruitment manager before, I always tell my recruiters to
Mm.
provide feedback to the applicant like after 24 to 48 hours because these applicants are waiting
Mm.
for any updates, and it's a best
Yeah.
practice that you as my recruiter would always provide them feedback. If there's no movement yet with the client, then advise them
Mm.
that we're still waiting for the client to give us a go signal for the next step of your application.
Yeah.
Or the worst part is, or the hardest part
Mm.
rather is telling the applicant that unfortunately you did not make it to this position, and if
Mm.
ever you would be interested to apply in the future, you may do so after six or whatever years, 6 months or a year after.
Mm.
And I always tell my recruiters to include on your feedback the areas of opportunity so that the applicant
Mm.
would know what are the things that failed them or that causes
Yeah.
them not to be qualified for the position. And
Mm.
in that way, it could somehow help them in their application with the other company or with the same
Mm.
company that they are applying. It's like you giving them as well something to work on, something to improve, so that
Mm.
in their next application, they would be prepared already, and they would consider those areas of opportunity and improve themselves. And that way, you're helping each other. You're helping the what do you call this? The
Yeah.
applicant to to get a job that he wanted.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I really like that because I truly believe that a job application is a two-way process. So
Right.
the applicant is like going for an interview with you, but you're also like giving back to that applicant regardless
Mm-hmm.
of whether he or she like passed the interview, right? So
Correct.
giving the areas of opportunities or providing feedback after the application process is for me going the extra mile for that applicant and really setting
Mm-hmm.
up that person for success in the future, even if that person does not end up working with you. Like we never
Mm-hmm.
know, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
at this point maybe he or she's not a great fit just yet, but at least you like paid it forward and gave the areas of opportunity. So I think that's one of the best practices that recruiters should follow as well, even though it takes time and they're busy all the time. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for clarifying that. And I think also one of the things that most of my viewers would ask are during the interview process, some questions may not be related to the role, or like what you said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
out of the box questions. Why do you think some recruiters ask these types of questions, even though they're not completely related or relevant to the role they're applying for?
There's always a reason for that one. First is to assess the communication, and that way, we would know
Mm,
how they communicate in a certain situation, and at the same time, their promptness
mm,
in thinking of a possible answer
yeah.
to that question. Those are,
Yes.
and the third is it's like engagement, getting to know the person
Yes.
well, and at the same time, assessing their communication skills and their alertness in crazy questions that the recruiters
Yeah.
may ask them. Mhm.
I think that's very important because it would be boring if it's just like the usual
Yeah,
question.
it's so
So
formal.
I think that adds to the spice of the conversation. An interview is supposed to be a conversation between the two of you.
That's one thing that I wanted to clarify
Yeah.
as well, because most of the applicants think that if they are in the interview, our task is just to ask to answer. I mean, to ask them questions. It's to scrutinize them, but that's not the
Mm,
way an
yeah.
interview should be. As a recruitment manager before, I always tell my
Mm,
recruiters to make it more casual, make it more conversational, so that the applicant would
mm,
feel comfortable in answering the questions. They would enjoy their experience being interviewed,
mm,
and same thing with with
Yeah.
Transcom. All of our applicants here are, are treated well. They are comfortable during their employment. I mean, sorry, their application with us. We always make sure that
Mm.
they have a very good experience with our recruitment process.
Yeah, that's really good to know. Because again, first time applicants for sure will just be quiet and be
You're right.
nervous. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so you heard it from AJ. It's a conversation. It's not just supposed to be the applicant answering questions. All right, now
Right.
those are really great interview tips. I'm sure a lot of them have learned so much from that. Now, to wrap up this conversation, I know and we both know that people come and go in this
Mm-hmm.
industry, but you yourself have lasted long enough, like moving to different roles. What would you
Mm-hmm.
say are your secrets to staying long in the industry?
Well, there are two things that kept me in where I
Mm,
am right now. First is my dedication to work, and second is my passion. Because if you're really
mm,
dedicated, you would get to know all the dynamics of the company. You will fail, accept your failure, accept your challenges, and improve yourself. And then be
mm.
passionate.
Yes.
It's not easy. It's not easy to work every day and wake up every day and deal with the same stuff every day.
Yeah.
Uh, time will come that you will get bored, that you will, that you would think that the task is so routine and it's kind of difficult and stuff like that. But
Mm,
if you're really passionate with your job, with the role that you have, then all of these
mm.
challenges that you're feeling will eventually pay off. I mean,
Yeah.
um, embrace your embrace your job and love it and enjoy every day. Enjoy working every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially for our entry level applicants out there, it's a battlefield, it's a jungle out there.
Mhm.
So you'll
It is. It
experience a
is.
lot of things that you may not have experienced before, but it's definitely a challenge going onto your shift on graveyard, on a graveyard shift, and then, getting into the habit of being healthy, even though you're sleeping
Oh.
in the morning or in the afternoon. So there are a lot of things that you have to consider, not just the actual job itself, but
Hmm.
also the lifestyle. But when you, like what AJ said, when you dedicate your time and of course yourself to the job, but not to the point of burning out, obviously. We're
Hmm.
at the point in our life where we have to take care of our mental health. We already know that.
Right.
So
Hmm.
I guess it's just really like a balance of having great work to do at the same time enjoying your life outside of work, right? Because if you don't have life outside of
Correct.
work, then how else would you like stay longer in the BPO industry?
Correct.
Okay, and for my final question, of course, we know times have certainly changed since the pandemic and
Uh-huh.
all that. uh, to all the newbies, like to all of those people who do not have like any clue yet about the BPO industry. Of course, there's my channel for you to get a clue. But what are your tips to the newbies who want to be part of the BPO industry?
I've been repeating this to all of the applicants. Where I had engagement, I got to
Mm,
discuss as well and present the company to them. I always tell them to be to be very prepared with everything. Don't just go to a company
mm,
and apply being unprepared. You don't know what the industry is, the position that you're applying, because that's one ticket for you to
mm,
failure if you don't know the details of the position that you're applying. Always talk to people who had
mm.
experienced the position, and they would definitely tell you a lot of
Yes.
stories, the good and bad, of the BPO or whatever position that they are applying. And at the same time, pray.
Mm,
That's one thing that I wanted to advise everyone. Pray
yeah.
that you would be given knowledge to answer the questions well, that you would be confident, that you would be guided, that everything that you pray for success of your application.
I know that there are a lot of videos in my channel where you can learn from, but of course, every experience is different. So we're here to
Mhm.
share what we have experienced, obviously, and take what you can get out of those experiences that we share with you. But for sure,
Mhm.
once you're already in the industry and working, you will have a different, slightly unique experience as well. So good
Mhm.
luck with that. And so AJ, invite them if you
Oh.
have job openings and anyone who wants to apply.
Right. I'm going to take this opportunity to invite everyone to apply in Transcom. We do have sites in Manila, in Iloilo, Bacolod, and Davao. And we are offering competitive salary as well. And we have a lot of benefits that we can present to you. So all you have to do is just visit our Facebook page at Transcom and then click on the apply now. And definitely we will get in touch with you and schedule you for an interview. And rest assured that if you're going to apply in Transcom, you will feel supported, and at the same time, we will definitely
Hmm.
assist you with your application. So apply now.
There you have it. Thank you very much, AJ. And everyone, I will add all the details and information in the description box below. But for now, it's
Mhm.
your time to research about Transcom. If you're interested, feel free to go to their Facebook page and apply. Thank you so much,
All
AJ.
right.
It's been great speaking
You're
with you.
welcome,
I
Rhea.
will see you
You're
again
welcome.
soon in our next video. And
No
thanks, everyone. Don't
worries.
forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments below.
All
Bye.
right.
See you in the next
Bye.
one.